So 40,000 years ago, according to deep historians, and according to maybe you've had him, Yuval Harari,
Yuval Noah Harari.
he said 40,000 years ago, we left the rest of the human tribe because we had a language for narrative. All the animals, other animals, including other hominins, have a language for just mating calls, food calls, and danger calls.
The important stuff.
Yeah, the important. That's how we survive. But now we have this language where we can communicate ideas, but now we have large language models which combine narrative with physics, with biology, with religion, with spirituality. So what I'm saying right now, which a lot of people roll up their eyes, is that in 20 years, you're going to see the emergence of a new human species because, and I choose to call it metahuman, because our neural landscape is changing with these large language models. The more knowledge you acquire, the brain networks adjust to that. And then your epigenetic modulation occurs. So we will see a new human species in 20 years.
You know, it's funny. I was thinking about this, and obviously I'm trained in neuroscience, so we have to think about these things.
Yeah.
And, you know, the story that we kind of always tell is it usually comes up when people say, why are so many people autistic? Why do we have so much ADHD? Could the human genome have been affected so acutely, right, in the last 20 years? And we know that a lot of that is diagnostic. It's the way that we're sort of...
But also the environment.
But also the environment. Absolutely. The environment has changed. I was listening today to a podcast and they were saying, what's changed in the last 50 years? ADHD, autism rates, and the way we treat women's health, the food that we feed the women who are getting pregnant to make the babies, right? So if you look at what could have happened that's significant in the last 50 years, the environment, toxins, food, and kind of mental health care in a rapidly changing environment. So that being said, I was thinking about this yesterday in a very non-scientific way. My father, of blessed memory, he passed away 10 years ago. He was a huge basketball fan. And my father was a New Yorker, and he loved the New York Knicks. So I grew up watching the New York Knicks, Patrick Ewing, you know, all the classic greats. And I was raised on 1970s and 80s basketball. But my father also lived through Michael Jordan. And we would watch all of those games. And I was thinking my father's concept of basketball that he was raised with as a kid, you know, poor kid growing up, right, in the Bronx, it had to change so significantly when he saw the things that this athlete was doing, right? But when you talk about this, when I think about my grandparents who were sweatshop workers who immigrated from Eastern Europe, who never even understood what neuroscience was that I was studying, I couldn't even explain it, right? Their concept of the world, my grandmother grew up with no electricity in the village that she fled, right? The world changed so significantly. So then I think about me, us, and our kids, and the way my child can pick up anything. And if he's never seen how to do this website or application online, his brain has figured it out. And I know that fundamentally, it's not a significantly different brain than 1,000 years ago.
But right now, what the interesting thing is, everyone who's listening to this, they're also watching us?
Yeah.
Okay. Their frontal cortex right now is changing as we speak. So they could be in England or in China, and their genetics is being affected in this part. Now, if we were talking, and since you're a neuroscientist, we were talking about something very emotionally distressing or whatever, then their reptilian and emotional brain would be activated and the neural networks would change. So every experience modulates our gene activity and our neural activity.